Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Comic Source, coming to you live from San Diego Comic-Con. I'm in my hotel room. A little bit of a different layout, everybody, because I don't have my usual studio. But I'm sure you'll forgive me because I wanted to get this news out as soon as I could. I have two words for you. If you're checking us out on YouTube, you can see the posters and the images. Red Sonja, classic comic book character. If you're not familiar, just Google Frank Thorne, Red Sonja. I'm sure my guest Luke Lieberman is very familiar with Frank's work. Just beautiful, classic, wonderful character. If you saw the movie back in the day with Brigitte Nielsen, you'll be familiar as well. But there's a new film coming out at the end of this year, and Luke has had a hand in that, as well as a hand in Red Sonja, and we'll talk about that as well. So without further ado, my pleasure to welcome Luke Lieberman to the show. So Luke, talk a little bit about not only your role in the film, but this stewardship you've had of Red Sonja as a character and a property. You've been playing a central role in her showing up in a lot of different mediums for the past several years.
Yeah, thanks. The movie's coming out in theaters on August 15th and then on digital at the end of the month. Although Serena, my PR can fill me in because I think I got an email on the way down that they're actually expanding the theatrical release substantially because of some good online feedback, which makes me feel
Great.
happy. My family's been involved with this character since before I was born. My father used to run Conan Properties and sort of set up all of the Howard Library of characters into their own entities. And I ended up taking over this character at some point after I graduated from film school. Um, my what do I do? I sort of see myself as the keeper of the flame. I kind of see Sonja as a legend, like the kind of thing you would tell around a campfire. And my job is to keep the fire fed and to let it spread.
Yeah, and really getting a chance to bring Sonja to the big screen because she's been pretty much ever present in comics. There's wonderful comics from Dynamite, everybody with wonderful art. Walter Giovanni, Gail Simone. These are some of the creators that have been involved and books that we've reviewed on the channel in the past. But bringing this theatrical film, and we'll talk about some of the actors in a second here, but bringing it to, and congratulations on a wider release. I think getting this in front of as many eyes as possible because you can go see the trailer right now, everybody. I'll put a link in the show notes to go check it out. But getting Red Sonja up there on the big screen and introducing her to a whole new generation of potential fans, I think is very important. And in your role as steward, I'm sure that it's something you've been working toward for a while. So there's going to be a panel, everybody. It's going to be on Thursday, July 24th, if you're at San Diego Comic-Con in Ballroom 20. Three of the stars from the show are going to be on the panel. Matilda Lutz, Robert Sheehan, Martin Ford, along with Luke and some of the other creative
And
minds behind the film.
Wallace Day. She's
Yeah, and
joining.
Wallace Day as well. Yeah, make sure we don't forget him. But talk a little bit about bringing this together and kind of your thoughts on introducing Red Sonja to a new generation of fans on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean, this was sort of my first job when I took it over. When I took over the property, Marvel had stopped publishing in, I think their last book was like in the early 90s. So the property was a bit dormant. And my first job when we relaunched the comic books with Dynamite back in 2005 was to introduce it to a new generation. And I think the secret with anything like that, I mean, the reason that Sonja remains compelling is because there's no artifice around Sonja. She just is. There's this authenticity and sort of gutsiness to Sonja at the core of the character that I think follows through. And you have to, because there's been so many different creatives that have been involved telling her stories over the years, that the sort of secret is to hold on to the core of the character and the sort of integrity of the character, and at the same time allow each of these creatives to be creative and allow the character to grow because each generation needs the opportunity to make a character their own. They each sort of need their own version of the character. And so in 2005, my job was to reintroduce this character to a new generation, which was my generation. And now we're sort of introducing her yet again to the generation after. And what is amazing about comic books in general, look, I took my kids to see Superman. It's a 90-year-old character, and my 5-year-olds were bouncing out of their seat because there's sort of a central conceit to the character, and everyone can kind of look at them through a different prism. Different filmmakers can look at characters through different prisms, but if they're strong and if they have a sort of central compelling um, essence to them, then they can be reinterpreted and sort of shown in different lights and go through these different stories, and each generation can find something to identify with and to sort of hook into.
Yeah, and Sonja certainly has that. So we mentioned some of the cast. We have Matilda Lutz as Red Sonja. We have Robert Sheehan as Dragon, who's kind of the villain. His wife Wallace Day, and then Martin Ford playing a general. Sonja, if you know the story, she's very much a fighter. She's very much a warrior. This film, this theatrical release is directed by MJ Bassett. So I wanted to ask you in terms of casting, um, like how involved were you in casting, and why these particular actors, and specifically Matilda, really? Because I mean, if she doesn't carry the film, if she's not the embodiment of Red Sonja, then it's going to be much harder to kind of introduce this character to a new generation. So talk a little bit about the casting and why this cast was the right choice for their roles.
So with Red Sonja, we really cast that role in the sense that like we didn't just go make offers to stars. We had hundreds of actresses read for the role. We had callbacks. I mean, we really took a hard look at a lot of women. And I was on Team Matilda. I was pushing for her really from the beginning, in part because I really loved her in Revenge, which is a movie she did with Coralie Farragut, who also did The Substance more recently. But people should just check that out. That's a really cool film. But also because in the auditions, you could see that she had this, like I said, Sonja's got an essence. There's like a fire behind the eyes. That to me is kind of the most important aspect of the character, is that sort of ferocity, but not in some sort of overplayed cartoonish, but in like a sort of internal sort of fire that can erupt in the right moments and situations. And she really has that. I mean, she's, at some level, honestly, when you're casting anything like this, you want a good actor and someone who has range and all the rest, but you also kind of want the character to walk in the door, right? I mean, you want somebody who's kind of already exudes all those qualities, and you can already just see them. And that's sort of what I felt with her immediately. Um, Robbie is just a fantastic actor. He's got a lot of charisma. He's extremely capable. He has a lot of range. He gives you a lot of different things. I mean, literally, he'll in 4 different takes, he'll give you sort of different versions of the scene. Like he's a sort of delightful in that way, and that he gives you so many options, and they're all strong, and he's always taking creative risks. He's always making interesting choices. He doesn't do stuff that's safe. That's sort of why he's compelling. And I mean, this is a character playing a villain in a movie like this. There's a lot of really boring and safe ways to play it. And instead, I think he's crafted a really unique and cool villain out of the material that was there. And his character is a little bit like he's a little bit like an evil tech oligarch, which I think when we wrote it, we didn't realize how relevant that was going to be when the movie came
Right.
out. But now it seems more on point. Martin was like very dedicated to the role. He was, I mean, obviously just because we did practical effects with him and he was in the makeup chair for hours every morning, but he was also like, he was very locked in every scene, what's my motivation in the scene? What am I trying to get out of it? Like he was really thinking his way through it. And he wasn't just, I mean, obviously there's a certain physicality of the guy. I mean, he's enormous.
Right.
Um, he's like 6'9", and he looks like he could just curl me with one hand. But he was also like really focused on the craft, which was really nice to see. And he's perfect for the role. And Wallace, We knew that because she had done a bunch of genre stuff, right? She'd done, I think, a bunch of DC shows, and we knew that she could do the action beats. But what surprised me was really how well she handled the emotional beats, because her character is, in some ways, the most complicated. I don't know if you're like aware of the comics. This came out of some Gale comics. Her character Anicia, and that character's basically got, mental health issues, and she's constantly there. The ghosts of everyone she's killed are always whispering in her ear and like making her, driving her to distraction. And she played that. That's not so easy. And I think she pulled that off quite beautifully.
Wonderful. Well, again, the theatrical release later this year on August 15th, everybody, and then available on digital August 29th. I mentioned the panel in Ballroom 20, Thursday, July 24th, if you're at the con. Is this really, Luke, your first chance for everybody that's been involved in it? I mean, I'm sure you're going to play the trailer at the panel and that sort of thing and be able to kind of get some fan reaction and get some like feedback and energy. Is this the first time you're going to be able to experience that, and are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, yeah, we have Felicia Day doing it's at 5:30 on Thursday. We have Felicia Day moderating for us, and she's a big fan of the character. And she actually read Gail wrote a novel for us that came out last year, and Felicia read it for Audible. So that was sort of when I got to really hang out with her. And she's a fan. I actually like kind of the first reaction I got to any of this was from Felicia because she's a fan, and she'll just tell you exactly what she thinks. And she dug it. And I mean, of course, presenting it to the fans is at Comic-Con. I've been going for a long time. I mean, when I first started going to Comic-Con, I worked for Stan Lee, so I was going with his entourage. That was sort of my first introduction, and now I've been there every year. So those are my people, that's my tribe, and of course, I'm very anxious to see what they all think of it.
So again, everybody, if you're at the show, July 24th, 5:30, Ballroom 20, probably want to get there a little early. I'm sure it's going to be a packed house. So best of luck with the film, Luke. Hopefully I got a chance to run into you. I think I'm probably going to be able to do the press room for this as well, everybody. So look for more content. We'll get a chance to talk to some of these stars and get their reaction and what have you. So again, link in the show notes for all of this stuff, all the details and everything. And again, Luke, thanks so much for joining me.
Sure. Thank you, man.
And to everybody out there, whether you're joining us on audio only or YouTube, we really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next time.